Hi, I'm Garrett Partain, lead educator with BeautifulHairColor.net. Today we'll be doing a soft ombre and some long layers with advanced coloration. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hand the client the book and say, here you go, Juliana. What are we doing today? I'm actually going to take this level finder out of the swatch book. I'm going to hold the level finder up to her hair, find her natural level. You always want to go with the darker level. She kind of liked the darker browns. So with that being said, she likes more of like a 5 and a 6. So with her natural level being a 6 and a 7, and she wants to go to a 5 and a 6, we're not going to have to do any lifting. So 10 volume is really all we're going to need for this one. Since her roots is already pretty grown out, that's really what we're going to concentrate on. Elongating those roots, softening up her look, really just elongating her color to create a much more natural flow. I said ombre because ombre also means melting. So we're not going to melt her hair as in fry it, but we're going to melt her color. Creating that dark look coming from the top, spilling off into the bottom, keeping her nice blonde ends, but at the same time not allowing her to have roots within 6 weeks. Cool. I'm going to go mix up our stuff and I'll be right back, okay?
All right, thank you.
We went and mixed up our color. 5 in, 6 in at the roots, and then I'm adding some 7 in throughout the middle. And then we're actually just gonna keep the blonde. I'm actually not gonna foil any highlights in her hair and just kind of keep what she has and really just create and put that dimension back in her hair and give her back her depth. You really wanna make sure you mix the color well. Really stir this color. It's really thick. We mix our color 2 to 1. But you really want to make sure you have a good consistency. So I want to start off by taking the top part of her section. Let's go ahead and get all this hair out of the way. Again, same section as our cutting video. With the dark color, the 5, 6 in, apply it at the roots, and lift up the hair, really just feather that back out. We're really trying to add some dimension into her hair. And I'm actually going to feather these into triangles. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a diagonal section on this side of her head. So with our diagonal sections, we're going to take the foil, hold the hair down. We did the darker color, fanning it down into the middle of her hair, creating that depth at the roots. Then we're going to take our 7 in and fan that on down into her hair, leaving out her ends. We're going to take another foil and sandwich it on top, leaving her ends out, and that just the way that is. Take our 7 in. We're gonna actually bleed this right in the middle, leaving out our outside pieces blonde. Just gonna fan this 7 in right in the middle, creating a triangle effect basically. Nice tapered color, creating our melting effect. Basically 5 in to 7 in to our 9. The reason I'm doing diagonals is because we have 3 different types of lines in hair shape and design. Diagonals, horizontals, and verticals. Horizontals create width, vertical create length. With diagonals, we're keeping nice soft flow in through her color because diagonal sections create softness and blend in lines. If you notice right here, I'm doing a little bit of a diagonal towards her face and a little bit down. That's going to help that length going backwards. If I flip that diagonal and rotated it this way, then her highlights are gonna spill towards her face. But because where the styles are at now, everything's really going backwards. So we're flipping that, going this way to where that way our section goes back naturally. You notice I'm not working in really small sections. And I'll tell you why. The reason I'm not working in really small sections is because then you're getting into smaller details. When you're in smaller details, everything starts to blend in. If you keep really big sections and really big colors, really big color placements, then you're really gonna create a nice, elaborate, elongated look. When you really start going in and really weaving out colors, the naked eye is not gonna see this. So if you go in and you highlight or you put this low light in their hair, you can create soft, subtle dimension with soft, fine, thin highlights, but you won't create nice, dramatic dimension. So moving on to the side, we're gonna take the 5N, mark that in, lift up her hair, do the same thing. We're actually gonna not do her hairline. I actually went and made up some bleach, some lightener. We're gonna fan in just a couple really soft highlights around her face, just to keep that softness. We have two different lighteners. We have a white and a blue. The blue bleach is for warm, dark hair. The reason it's blue is because it actually helps cut the warmth and cut the brass. As we all know, dealing with color correction, blue cuts orange, so that is the reason it's blue. I mixed for 20 volume. We're gonna come in here, come into her face, want that really nice soft highlight right there, create another highlight right in the back, and we're gonna create that same V that we were doing in the back of her head. I'm actually gonna go in and weave out a little itty bitty section. The reason I'm doing this is because the fine section, you won't be able to see it from a distance, but at the same time it's gonna cast a reflection. With that reflection being in their hair, it's gonna give the illusion that it's nice and bright throughout her whole entire head without having extremely dark roots. So I'm gonna go ahead and fold that down, not making sure I get any dark color on there, highlighting that all the way to the roots. Sandwich those foils together. And when I do this on little foils like this, I want to actually fold this one up and get it out of my way. So that fine section that we just foiled, I'm going to take that up, lift it there, come in and do our same thing that we've been doing. Take our middle color, 7N, come right in the middle. Again, you notice I'm still creating that triangle with her hair. We're gonna take down the top of the hair. This is gonna be a really easy section because we wanna keep using big sections. We're only gonna do a couple of those little foils in the middle to keep that broke up. So we're gonna take our dark color, our 5-6N, paint it at the roots, feathering that up, coming to this side, doing the same thing, really feathering that color out. Notice how I'm doing this, it's already starting to create what we're trying to do. Go ahead and take this 7N, feather that up. To this side, do the same thing. Alright. The way I'm going to do this top section is I'm still going to work on diagonals. We're going to start. It doesn't really matter actually what side you start on. You can start on this side, you can start on this side. I'll always start in the back though, working my way to the front because I want that last foil to be right here at the hairline. So for purpose sake, we're gonna go right here. If you notice, I enter in right here at the crown, diagonal section. See about what that looks like, separating that. It's about the same size section I've been using. Go ahead, I'm gonna clip this out of the way. Take our section and do the same thing that we've been doing. Taking another foil, placing it right there, covering that up. Doesn't matter if it's all the way to the roots because all of our roots are the same color. So I'm gonna ask the client what side she parts her hair on, and that's gonna continue how we know how to finish the rest of the hair. So what side do you part your hair on?
On the left.
On the left? Okay. So we're gonna continue on this side, and the reason that is because this is her shallow side, and I want more color over here and not all on the other side. So we're gonna go here and do one more section all the way forward, pull that up, and then we have that nice diagonal to the front. Taking this section, clipping it out of the way. If you notice, this section where it goes almost to her part, if you notice that. That diagonal comes all the way around. We'll do one more section right here pivoting off her part, so that way when she parts her hair, she doesn't have any lines. If you come this way, you'll see lines going down. If you go this way, you'll see lines going this way. So this is when I'm gonna go in and take that really fine section of highlights to really just kind of break up everything in the top of her head. Really fine section. If you'd like to know, I'm actually doing a really broken weave. Not a slice, not a weave, just a really broken weave. Really fine section, highlights at the roots. Fan this down, really giving her some bright pieces in her hair. Gonna fold it up underneath to get it out of our way. Come back down to this section. So we'll take our middle color, our brown, fan it down in the middle. Now as you're moving up to the top, you can get less and less with the brown. More and more with the blonde on the outside. We really want our dimension and our depth underneath her hair. So that's why I was doing really big dark sections, only a little bit of light sections, but now that we're up here at the top, I want to do a little bit of dark, but then you notice that the lighter sections are getting a little bit wider. Not much, it's a little subtle variation. Really fanning that down. Creating bigger triangles. Notice how this triangle is much wider, much bigger. Again, sandwiching our foil, laying the next one back down on top. Now we're going to switch to the other side. Same thing, we're still going to do our diagonal parts. This time I'm going to cut off this triangle. Again, another triangle. Cut off this section, part down. We're going to do the same thing with our little broken weave that we did for our other side. Break this up at the roots just so she's not so dark throughout her whole head. This is a big change for her. She's going from pretty much all over blonde to a lot of dark with a lot of blonde. So it's really going to be a nice dramatic effect, but at the same time it's not going to be too much. It's going to be soft, it's going to be subtle, but at the same time it's going to make her hair pop and it's going to be different. So we have a couple more sections to go. If you notice, it's still on a slight variation, on a slight angle. The next section is going to be a little bit more of a shallow angle, still coming off her part. Her part is not here, her part is like right about here. Turn you around and let you see this a little bit better. Here's her natural part, like right in there. So you want to be safe, you want to make sure you have all the hair that you might need, just in case she decides to flip her part. You don't want a line here and you don't want a line there. Nice soft diagonal coming to her part. You'll see how that goes right there. We're going to do that soft foiling at the roots one more time on this side, a couple more times throughout the whole hair, just one more time right in here. We're going to move to the opposite side, and from here on out we're going to work to the front of the head from the back to the front in this one section. No more alternating. Still doing diagonals though. We're still gonna do our really fine weave up in here to keep that nice blonde look going around her top of her face. Then I'm gonna take this middle section, again, foil that color down into her hair, creating our triangle. Diagonal section again, about the same thing, rotating your diagonal a little bit more. This time we're not gonna do highlights at the roots. We're only going to do our dark color, just to keep that broken up. You don't wanna do the same thing over and over and over again, because then you're just gonna get the same effect. You won't have that variation, you won't have the difference. It's just everything's gonna look the same. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint the lightener with the piece on the front first in mind. Go ahead and do the back the same too, because I really want that lightener closer to the scalp right there. Creating our ombre melting effect. Nice triangle section. This is gonna be our last section. And because she was all over blonde, we wanna keep that same blonde feel to her hair. We're gonna come in right here at the roots in this front section. And you notice I'm weaving out a really tiny section. And that's really just gonna keep her broken up at her scalp. If you can see through it really well, it's probably about the right size. Okay, so we're gonna go in with our dark color. Just gonna pat a little bit at the roots because we don't want to bring this dark color too far out. Really fine throughout the front. I'm gonna go ahead and fold this foil over. Then we're gonna paint those roots that we left out. Just to make sure we get our full desired look that we're trying to achieve, which is a lot of dimension with nice subtle color coming throughout. So with this section, I'm actually gonna put a soft low light going throughout her whole entire head, or going throughout the whole entire section. Really, really fine low light. But I want to break this up a little bit differently in the front. But you really don't want to see it. You just want it to really be there. It's a couple little pieces that kind of go all the way out to the end a little bit more. And for this purpose, I'm going to use our 7N. Feather that all the way down. As we get done finished foiling her hair, we're going to take our powder blue lightener with the 20 volume. We're going to go through the rest of her ends and really just touch the rest of her ends up. Just so their ends are really nice and bright. So that's really going to make this whole thing pop. Just having the dark at the roots and then having the really blonde ends. So if you notice, as we have her stand up and you can look at her hair, we have most of her ends are covered in the blue lightener. It's okay if some of her ends aren't colored. Don't think perfection. Just think getting the ends in the hair, getting the ends colored, and then making sure everything flows. But at the same time, we do have perfection because this is really the soft, long look that we created. All right, so I'll see you in about 20 or 30 minutes, okay?
All right, thank you.
Great. As you can see, you can kind of see the subtle difference that we created with our color. A little bit darker at the roots, fanning it down, creating these nice lighter pieces that keep flowing out from the hair, creating a nice soft ombre effect. We have the darker roots, which will help her when her roots grow out because it's about the same level. Then we have these nice blonde lighter pieces in the hair to keep the dimension broke up. As you can see around to the side, how it just kind of fans and just gradually gets lighter. So yet she's still a blonde, but also we reduced her maintenance.